Nerd Takes.
Nerd Takes.
Nerd Takes.
I'm Justin.
And I'm John.
Joined with us today are Dave. And Brian.
Hola.
I wanted to say it at the same time.
Oh, sorry.
Lambert, tell us about the Nerd Takes we're doing today.
So we got Maker's Mark this time. We're doing the Maker's Mark wood finishing series. This is the 2023 release. This is BEP, because they all have different names. They had the FAEs, they had BRTs. This one's BEP, which stands for Barrel Entry Proof. Real original.
Yeah, well, but this is the last one, right?
This is the last one. So yeah, so they did a 5-year kind of experiment for wood finishing series, and 2019 to now. So we're actually talking about this yesterday. I was talking about this yesterday with Pat, and I'm kind of curious to see like what are they going to do next? Like what kind of experiment are they going to do next? Like what's going to be next year? It won't be wood finishing series. Are they going to create a new mash bill,
Or will they do a new permanent release that's off the
That's
most
what I was
famous
wondering.
one?
Will they look at how the wood finish did? And
right? What's the point? Or are they just
Bring
trying
something
to
back.
mess around or whatever? So, so this one. So I got some information. The summary. I think this is strictly off Maker's Mark website. Lower barrel entry proof, bigger flavor. This limited release bourbon showcases the influence of Maker's Mark unique 110 proof barrel entry proof, also known as BEP. It was crafted to amplify the balanced wood sugars, softer tannins, and lasting finish achieved with our low 110 BEP. 10 virgin toasted American oak staves were used to amplify notes of vanilla and sweet spice that naturally occur from lower BEPs. BEP is the 5th and final bourbon, we mentioned this before, in the chapter of the wood finishing series. And be sure to keep an eye out for our next series. And this is non-age stated. Proof is 110.7. And the mash bill is 70% corn, 16% wheat, and 14% malted barley. And I pulled that because all the wood finishing series are based off Maker's Mark 46, which is their wheated bourbon. So that's the mash bill for 46.
Which is honestly the 46 cask is one of the best you can buy, especially for the price point. And then
Fantastic.
followed quickly by just the Maker's cask, period.
Yep, just the regular Maker's Cast strength. So MSRP on this one, $69.99. We got it for $85, so not bad.
Pretty good, all things considered. So what you kind of notice people are already doing is we're tasting or we're rating the nose, palate, finish, and the overall rank based on our Luke Skywalker rating system. So I've already been kind of doing a little bit of smelling. So I'm going to throw out a couple things, and Lambert, you can tell us if we're right or not.
Yeah, I do have some notes for Maker's Mark on this one. So
one of the first things I picked up was besides like the caramel and sugar, I kind of got bananas in there somewhere, and maybe even cherries. There's something sweet in there about
some
that.
kind of sweet fruit.
Yeah, I don't know if- I don't know
sweet
if-
dark
I've
fruit.
tropical fruits and cherry on
Okay,
it.
yeah.
All right.
Like a Bing cherry. In fact, I wrote cherry and then went back and was like Bing.
Like
It's a
actually,
dark-
like a very.
It's a dark cherry. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm actually getting a bit of orange.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, the citrus for sure. Well, what are we supposed to be getting?
They don't go into nearly that much detail. I'll just.
Yeah. You'd said right, vanilla and spice and
Yeah.
everything nice.
Toasted vanilla, subtle spice, and caramel on the nose. Palate, bright,
I found it hot.
vanilla and brown sugar. And then the finish
The
was
palate.
medium body, balanced, rich caramel, and dry baking spices.
I mean, personally, on the palate, I do it. It is kind of hot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's-
for a
it's a-
110, it's
It's a good warmth to it. It's
a little
and
upfront.
the finish is, it's like more nasal. It's like in the back part of my throat / mouth as opposed to like the front part. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. A real depth of heat.
So when I opened this, I opened this last night.
Okay.
I didn't drink it, but I opened it and just left it open for like an hour.
I think the great thing about a lot of these wood finishes is that, I like to, if I'm having a couple, I will go with something hot, high proof. I like the heat, the pepper. And this is like a really good change of pace. Like the wood series, any makers really, all of a sudden, we're going to go a little more sugary. We're going
If
to
you
go
want
a
something sweet.
sweeter palate to it. And I think this is actually a lot hotter than many of the other ones I've had.
Yeah.
I know it's just newly cracked. I get that. But it's a different profile than a lot of the other wood finishes, which is exciting.
Well, that finish is staying. It's
Yeah.
just sitting right
well.
there.
And the other thing
Back
about
of
the
throat.
heat is you don't get any of that heat on the nose. That just hits you in that first sip and kind of lingers.
There's an underlying oaky quality to it that I didn't notice until I added a bunch of water. That's where the oak part is really coming out. some of it a little bit green. So either the staves weren't 100% dry. It's also one of those things that it's not a personal preference of mine, but some people love it. That kind of green quality. Like Yellowstone shows that a lot
Yep.
with that kind of greeny.
Does it say anything
Well,
about
I was going to say
pepper
you
in
had,
there?
you had a pig that, from a Yellowstone perspective, that tasted like grass clippings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But some people like that.
And this has a little bit of that, which is nice in the full thing, and I didn't really notice it until I watered it down and was able to kind of parse.
What'd you just say?
Did it say anything about pepper? I'm almost getting like a black peppercorn.
It's got some dry baking spices on the
Okay.
finish, so that could
And that's where I'm
probably
getting it.
I would
Again,
say
they don't go into a lot of detail. Like
Yeah.
you guys are going into way more detail than Makers is doing.
Sure. Yeah,
I would
they don't
also
wanna
say
offend
just
anybody.
like just the way that it's covering the glass.
Yeah,
and
it's got
just
good
the
legs.
mouthfeel. It's got a lot more depth of mouthfeel. It seems more I don't know, like full body than some of the other ones.
It sticks with you.
Like I think literally and figuratively.
I mean, yeah, just looking at the glass, and we've got nice little rivulets slowly working their way down.
Yeah. Well, let's do some rankings. What do you think? You want to start, Dave? Nope. Brian can start.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
started last time. Just took a sip.
I'm kind of in that Dagobah Stormtrooper range.
Okay.
Somewhere.
All right, 7.5 basically.
Yeah, it's essentially, yeah.
Okay. All right. Dave.
I'm going to go with Dagobah Luke. I like it, but there's something that's just not putting it to that next level for me.
Yeah, despite me saying that I think it's because if this wasn't, I didn't know this was the wood finish series, I would actually give this a higher ranking because this is like the kind of heat and spice that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
So just from that perspective, I would be leaning more towards probably Stormtrooper Luke, like more of an 8. But because it's the wood finish series, I guess I'm expecting it to be something different, which is maybe unfair. But it's based on my previous
I don't think
experience.
that's unfair because
I mean,
we've
I'm-
had all of the other
and I'm
ones, and
waiting
every
for-
single
and
one is
I'm
different.
thinking, man, this is going to be super sweet and sugary, like in a great way.
like the BRTs last year, those were both
Yeah.
Right, but I think
really
it's,
sweet.
I think it's unfair to judge it on the label because if we're tasting this as
Yeah.
what it is, you know, and, you know, our eyes can deceive us. We have certain preconceptions about Maker's Mark and things like that. But if we were going to do this in a group and go, okay, how does this compare to the other wood finish series? Then we can have
Yeah.
that discussion. But
Don't worry, we're definitely going to do that.
And if that was happening, I would actually probably give this a 6. I'd probably go Hoth Luke, but instead I'm just
Okay.
going to go straight up 7, even 7, Dagobah Luke, which is a really good score.
Yep, and I'm going to echo that.
okay,
I'm like we talked about this in the last episode. I'm turning into a harder grader. Early, yeah, I was probably pretty liberal with some things, and now I'm just kind of like I'm waiting to be wowed to get into that, Stormtrooper, Red 5, Jedi Knight Luke, and this is just it hasn't wowed me yet. Again, I'll be curious to see what happens after it opens up.
Sure.
I've tasted a version after it opens up, so I'll see if it gets to that point. So yeah.
All right. Well, hope you enjoyed the review. Thanks, fellas.
Nerd takes.
Nerd takes.